Not recording.
Jeff?
There you go.
All right. That was take one. Now, we'll convene the meeting of the Haverford Township Zoning Hearing Board of Thursday, July 15, 2021. President table to my not quite far right, well, far right, Margie Buchanan from Codes Office. Next to Margie is Kelly Kerr. What title are we going with, Kelly?
Zoning officer.
Zoning Officer for Haverford Township. Next to Kelly is Jesse Poynton, voting member to my right. Bill Rhodes, a voting member. My far left, Jessica McCallie, voting member. My immediate left, Ed McGargy, a voting member.
Hello.
Bill, before we begin, would you lead us in the pledge?
Sure.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We have three new cases on the agenda this evening. One is a case that we began a hearing on, but the case needed to be re-advertised and therefore is being presented as a new case. When we had previously commenced the hearing in Z21-20, this new case is captioned Z21-20A. We were only 4 members, but tonight we're 5, so we'll have the full complement of the board. So with that, we'll begin and call case Z21-20A, Luis Gennaro Kirizubai
Correct.
and Pedro Perez. I'm going to go with Luis and Pedro, okay? Lessees of 2126 Darby Road, Havertown, PA, DC folio number 2200-0068300, who seek a variance from provisions of section 182707B to allow a restaurant use with approximately 950 square feet of customer service area to occupy the building without providing the 10 off-street parking spaces required, and a modification of certain conditions relating to hours of operation and number of employees imposed as a result of the relief granted by Zoning Hearing Board Order Z99-30. Property is zoned C3 and located in the third ward. And before Lee begins his presentation, I should also say that our solicitor, Bill Malone, is participating virtually this evening. So you can see him up on the screen. Hello, Bill.
How are you?
All right, Lee, take it away.
Good evening. Thank you again for hosting our session. I don't quite recall which one of the 5 members was not present, but Mr. Rhodes.
Yep.
We will certainly stipulate to Mr. Rhodes reading the transcript if necessary from the last meeting and voting based on the transcript and this evening.
Okay, so Lee, because this is advertised as a new case, in order to bring the testimony and those exhibits, this was the first issue I was going to discuss with you, into this matter, I suppose we should incorporate them into this record?
Absolutely.
The transcript and the exhibits?
Yes.
And where were we with respect to exhibit marking? I think
We had Exhibit
Up to
A1, which was a deed of the property.
right.
A2 was the lease for the property, giving the applicant standing. A3 was the sketch of the floor plan and the property. I assume that was A3. A4 is the predecessor application of Constantine and Figlia Ciotis, and that was for a hair salon with the decision of November 9th, 1999, as well as a portion of the record.
And that's as far as we got with respect to exhibits, right, A4.
Yep.
And they were marked,
And in
I don't recall if they were admitted, but we'll admit them now. And you want to have those, bring those forward from that hearing and incorporate them into this record, right?
Yes.
Okay. Please proceed.
Thank you. Again, we'll resume with Louis, and if he could stand up here. But just by way of introduction from our last hearing, because some of the people were not in attendance, either virtually or in presence, this matter involves the establishment of an Italian food restaurant at the subject property, 2126 Darby Road. The Italian restaurant replaces an out-of-business hair salon which received approval back in 1999. We have two issues here that we were addressing last evening. The first issue was the failure to have any off-street parking of note. We have approximately just under 900 square feet of space available to patrons, which would require approximately 9 spaces of on-street parking. We also got into some testimony in terms of our loading dock, and that would be under Section 708 of the code. Now, the loading dock gives specific parameters, 12 by 60, not encompassing existing parking, and having the ability to access and turn around and not back out. Well, you heard testimony last time that all of our deliveries, because of the configuration of this very old building, we have one of those doors that's flush with the pavement, and we take our deliveries in the front of the building on Darby Road and right down steps into the basement. You also heard some testimony that we take very small ancillary deliveries to the rear of the property if we get some specialized, a car or a small truck just delivering some type of purveyor's materials. So we're requesting the board to accord us a variance based on-street parking as well as the limitations to Section 708 for the loading dock provisions. At the conclusion of our hearing, it was made very clear that this board wanted to discuss or have the applicant discuss the conditions imposed in 1999 on the hair salon use. Although I suggest that there's case law directly on point that would say that conditions of a prior use have no bearing on the current application, and I can provide a case for that your solicitor, we're happy to be here tonight and talk about those because some of those conditions are what we really pertain to what we do, such as number of employees and hours. And so I'll start again with...
So Lee, before we move on from that, I just want to flesh it out a little bit. So it's not the prior use so much that there's a prior zoning relief that applies to this property. And that's why I think, I don't want to call it a disagreement, but there's different viewpoints on the relevancy of the prior order to this case. So I don't think it's an issue we need to beat to death at this point.
Right.
Bill Malone listening, if he thinks there's some conversation he wants to have about it, I think we should proceed without exhausting this. Bill, do you agree?
I agree.
I promised to send them the case that I forgot to bring with me tonight.
Okay.
So, but in any event, those are important issues for this board in terms of operations in any business that we're installing by way of any type of variance relief.
And I don't mean to limit your presentation. If you want to get into it, we're happy to hear whatever case law you want to present, testimony, whatever.
Okay.
It's your case. We're happy to hear it. I just thought we would proceed to the testimony and
Will do.
other exhibits.
Can you please state your name again for the record?
Luis Grisenby.
And Mr. Grisenby, you continue to be sworn today as a witness.
Well, I'm going to swear you again, just in an abundance of caution, if you will, because this is a new hearing. So please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
And your full name and the capacity in which you appear for the board, please.
Luis Grisenby.
And you're a partner in,
Yes, he is an owner and tenant of the property.
okay. Go ahead.
May I call you Louis?
Yes.
Thank you. Louis, at our last evening, we reviewed an exhibit marked A4 for identification. I have that in front of you. Do you see it?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the prior applicant under A4 was a hair salon, correct?
Yes, he was.
Okay. And comparatively, you want to impose what type of business on this property?
An Italian restaurant.
Okay. And that would be for eat in and take out?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Now, there were certain conditions affixed to the decision which approved the installation of the salon in the property. The first one being the proposal shall be only one-story addition. You don't plan on doing any,
No addition involved.
just all interior improvements?
Yes, it is.
No additions being added?
No.
Condition number 2 is there shall be no Sunday hours of operation. Do you see that condition?
Yes.
Yeah, do you see it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Now, hair salons are a slightly different business than Italian restaurants, you would agree.
Yes, we are very different.
And salons would traditionally be closed on Sundays and Mondays.
Most of the time, yes.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about the Italian restaurant and how any type of condition imposing a closure on Sunday would impact the business?
Well, in the restaurants, most of the business is done between Friday and Sunday, and like 75% of the businesses during the weekends, and done Monday to Friday.
Okay. If a condition were to be imposed to close your business on Sundays, how would that impact your business?
Will be a loss for at least 70%. At 70% of the business, because of the business.
Okay. What hours, you testified last meeting on the hours on Sunday. I think you were going to propose a brunch.
Yes, we will open a branch in the weekend, like Sundays from probably 8 to 10, and from 10 a.m. or 8 a.m. to probably 5 p.m. in the evening
For a dinner.
for dinner. And
Okay.
The,
And what
most,
were those Sunday hours again, Luis?
the Sunday hours will be from 8 to 8 p.m.
8 a.m. to 8 p.m.?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Now, in the immediate vicinity of your property, are there other businesses, both food and non-food establishments that?
Yes, there is.
Okay. Now, what are, just comparatively, what are those businesses and hours?
Well, there is a Brick and Brew. They open Sundays to 9 p.m. There's a pizza place that is open to 9 p.m. There's a nail salon that's open to 5 p.m.
Nail salon.
A nail salon, yes. And there is a cafe that's open to 8 p.m. on Sundays. So they all operate on Sunday.
Okay. Do any of those businesses have off-street parking?
They all don't have street parking.
Okay.
Well,
They are in
Brick,
this-
Brick and Brew,
Brick and Brew.
you don't know what parking arrangements they have, right?
Brick and Brew is right next to the place I'm renting. I'm US, they don't have parking. Now they just moved recently down the block.
Right.
They barely have parking. They only have parking in the front. I've been in that place many times. They only have like a few, not even 5 parkings behind the place.
But
And
they
just
have
in
some
the road.
parking, I don't want to say leases, but parking arrangements with
Yeah,
a
they
bunch of
just,
other businesses.
but most of the parking they use is off-street parking on Eagle Road and Darby Road.
But now that they moved,
Now
it's
that they
really not a
it's the
direct
same, pretty
correlation.
much it's the same because I've tried to park behind their business and they rarely have parking. They like, I think they have 5 or 6 parking spaces in the back of the new Brick and Brew.
But there's a municipal lot on the side of.
There is.
Yeah, there is a
Eagle Road.
municipal parking, yes, on the side of Darby Road and Eagle Road.
Okay.
And they also have an agreement with Bryn Mawr Trust Bank that's on Eagle Road. But I don't view their situation, their new situation, as relevant to your situation or the analogy that you're trying to draw as it was to their old location. So at their old location, I'm not aware of any parking arrangements that they had. So under their old location, I would say you're probably right.
Yeah, in
But
the
the
old
new
location,
location's different.
in the old location, they don't have no parking at all. They just use the front parking and in the next parking, that is public parking, the open parking, that is with barely 40 parking spaces behind the area. So,
Okay.
The next condition on A4 was there should be no more than 4 employees and 2 owners. And I believe you testified to this type of aspect last time.
yes,
How many employees do you intend?
we got 8 employees.
And that would include the owners?
The owners, yes.
Okay. And just to give an idea, how many wait staff, maitre d', cook, clean?
We have 3 staff in the front and 5 in the back altogether.
Okay. During the weekdays, Monday through Friday, would you have less than
Yeah,
8?
less employees because it's less business during Monday to Friday.
Okay.
So 8 total,
So
including,
8 total in the weekend because it's more, it's the best days.
so that would be your max,
Yeah, a max of 8.
including you.
The owners,
guys.
yeah. We're gonna be the ones working there, so,
Okay.
Okay.
exactly.
Condition number 4 is there'll be 2 full-sized marked parking spaces in the rear. You have those 2 spaces now, do you
Yeah,
not?
there is.
Do you plan to maintain those existing spaces?
Yes, we will.
Okay. Condition 5 is that the proposed addition will be completed with 1 year. That addition's built fully.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
beautiful.
At its moot, absolutely. Now, in terms of your loading and unloading situation, you heard the opening tonight. Was my opening consistent with your testimony last time?
Yes.
Most of your deliveries will be taken in the front?
Yes,
and-
because the entrance to the basement is in the front.
Okay.
So it's easier to access from the front to the basement.
And do you take most of your deliveries off hours?
Yes, most of the problems.
Mostly early in the morning?
Early in the morning, yeah, because deliveries mostly in the morning. During the evenings, we don't expect to get deliveries.
Okay. That's all I have, thank you.
That's an important question, because if the deliveries are coming in the afternoon when the spots are full.
No.
And we're talking about if we're talking about blocking a lane on Darby Road,
No.
that could be an issue.
No, we don't plan on it because most of the deliveries will be done in the morning before even the restaurant will be open.
We could certainly make an agreement to, and it's certainly a good condition
Yeah.
that deliveries will not block a travel lane in Darby Road.
Are you finished with your question?
I am, yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Jessica?
Just have a question about your takeout business model, I guess. Are you going to have someone on staff delivering takeout orders? Is
No,
it just
we-
walk-in?
Just walk in
Okay.
and probably deliver apps.
Okay.
The way it goes today.
Okay.
We will not have a staff that will be
That will
delivering.
be doing deliveries? Okay, thank you. No, I don't have any other questions.
Ed?
No other questions.
Jesse?
No questions, thank you.
Bill?
Yeah, so the 2 reserved parking spots in the rear, what do you plan to reserve them for? Staff parking, your parking?
Probably staff.
So not patron parking?
If we can use it for patrons, we will use it, but if not, then no.
Are you planning to put up signs that are reserved for patrons or reserved for staff, or,
I mean, we'll put for patrons mostly.
and where does the staff park?
The staff is luckily, we live here, so we don't really need the parking.
All 8 staffers would,
Not all
none of them would be
but
driving?
Not all of them probably, maybe they will be using 1 or maybe 2 parking, but not more than that.
And what do you do when the entrance to your basement in front of your building, is there a no parking zone in front of that space?
No, there's not a sign on no parking zone.
Okay, so, we are aware of acute parking shortages in that neighborhood. So let's assume that those parking spots are being used when your deliveries pull up. And let's presume for a second that you have patrons parking in your 2 reserved spots in the back. What do you tell the delivery guy? What is he gonna do? Because I fear that they'll just stop and double park. How will you handle that problem?
Well, for what I've seen so far in the Darby Road, it's, there is actually a few parkings that is what it says no parking zone, but there's most of the parkings has always been empty. So my way of thinking was to allow them to park in front of the store in order to pick up and deliver.
So I'm not really
Can we
sure.
impose a condition that deliveries may be prior to a certain morning time, like 9 or 10 in the morning, pre-business hours?
We could, although I think for that to be a rational condition, we would want to know what the parking situation is during whatever designated hours. And I don't know firsthand whether parking is easier between 7 and 9 or whatever. So I just, temporal limitations on deliveries is all well and good until the delivery guy shows up whenever he wants.
Well, we certainly hope that the police will enforce any type of impermissible parking in a travel lane. If the guy can't park, we certainly would suggest that there will be no delivery based on a condition of this board and police enforcement. I've driven up and down Darby Road for many years, and the police are very active along that road. Not from personal experience.
Of course not. The Exhibit A3 says occupancy load 50. But the depiction of the tables, by my count, is roughly 58.
Yes.
So do we know, are you going to limit it to 50 seats, or are you?
We could limit it if
We can limit to 50
necessary.
seats. I don't think this was an architect just putting silhouettes down on a piece of paper. I think that we need an area just for people to sit down and be addressed when they come in, so there's tables right against the front door, so 50 would be
Yeah,
acceptable.
yeah. And will people who are waiting for a table to open, reservations, are you going to take reservations?
Yes.
And if people arrive and their table's not ready, where do you expect them to wait?
So we will try to eliminate one of the tables to do with front waiting in that side of the front door.
So on this depiction, the 4-seat table directly in front of the front door, you'd probably eliminate?
Yeah.
And perhaps the 4-seat to the
Yeah,
left of the front door?
Since you said we could minimize to 50, we have to eliminate tables there, so we will make for the waiting area.
It's Exhibit A3 that you're referring to.
Yes, I'm sorry.
With the picture. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the same exhibit, right?
Yeah.
And so you talked about some of the other establishments that were open till 8 or 9 o'clock on a Sunday night nearby. How many of them open at 8 a.m. on Sunday morning?
The Brick and Brew is open. I think they open at 9. There is another one, it's called Bruschetta for brunch.
Okay.
And the cafe is open in the mornings.
Are you planning to be open at 8 a.m. on every day of the week?
No.
No, okay, just Sundays?
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or mostly Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday,
For
Sunday?
brunch.
Okay,
For
and,
brunch
and then
dinner.
breakfast, but what are your hours Monday through Friday? And are you closed on?
Yeah, we close in the morning. We open on Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m.
11 to 9.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a restaurant. It's not gonna be a fast food restaurant. So we're not planning on opening that early in the morning on Monday to Friday.
And then Saturday would also be 8 to 8.
Saturday, yes.
8 to 8?
Probably Saturday a little longer because Saturday I think is the best day. It's probably until 9 p.m. But brunch definitely in the morning.
And those times, the evening times, that's your last seating, or that's when you actually lock the doors and send people out?
No, 9 o'clock is mostly closed.
It's closed.
Yeah, closed.
And on Sundays, given the proximity to Grace Chapel, have you looked at the traffic situation during that time of day, Sunday mornings, and look to see what type of off-street parking is available? I don't know, but,
I have been, because I've been scouting the area for a really little while, and I've seen in mornings is really empty, because there is a few places that open for brunch here, so there's not really much they don't get really occupied in the mornings, and in the evenings either.
but Sunday mornings when church is in service, or church is having services?
Church is up the road, but they have their own parking, so I believe they don't use the off-street parking.
Okay, thanks. I don't have any other questions.
Okay. Anything else, Jessica?
No.
Ed?
No other question.
Jesse?
Nope.
All right, Lee?
Thank you very much. That would conclude the case for the applicant.
Any other questions whatsoever? Not directed at Luis?
No.
Jess? Ed? Jesse? Bill? Okay. Anything else you'd like to add, Lee?
No, sir.
So, and with respect to exhibits, we end at A4, right? So we have A1 through A4, all admitted. With that, I'll ask if there's anyone present that received certified mail that wishes to testify, anyone that received regular mail, any other residents of Haverford Township? Yes, ma'am, please come forward. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your full name and address for the record, please?
Phyllis Killian, 2131 Killian, Killian. unlike the beer were minus an L. 2131 Darby Road, directly across the street from the 2126.
Okay, and what would you like to tell us?
So I've listened to what they've had to say, and I've done some research while they were chatting. And as we all know, Brick and Brew is no longer at that location. They have moved down the road, so we don't have a parking situation. They don't open at 8 in the morning. They're not open until 9 or 10 o'clock at night. The hair salon closes at the latest 9 o'clock. It's not open on Saturdays, and it's not open on Sundays. It's not open on Mondays. They moved from the building that these gentlemen are looking to rent into a building next door. The coffee shop is open at 7 in the morning. They close around noon most days. Some days they close at 3. The nail salon closes at 7:30. I live on Darby Road. Parking on Darby Road is horrible. Parking on the side streets of Darby Road is horrible. They park illegally, not these gentlemen, but in general, constantly parking in no parking zones. Constantly double parking. When Brick and Brew was there, the restaurant delivery guys were double parked, so you could only get down one lane of Darby Road coming in this direction. While I appreciate what they want to do, and I appreciate the revenue that this could possibly bring to the community, I think it'll bring more of a hardship to the community, especially where parking is concerned, because we have had an ongoing problem. The police are called on a regular basis for all the cars that are parked illegally. Again, the double parking in front of those buildings is constant. If they don't have designated parking spots, how are they going to manage this? It's going to impact me as a resident. I have a 1-car driveway. I have 2 cars. I have 2 drivers. I have to park in the road. So, and I'm not the only one. If you look at Hastings Avenue, everybody has multiple cars, and I'm using Hastings because it's across the street. Everybody has multiple cars. Everybody's parked in the road as well as in their driveway. So you're going to impact your taxpayers and your residents by allowing a restaurant that's going to have 50-plus people in there, off-street parking, the delivery service and all the rest of it. And he's right, the delivery is in the front and it's a bay that opens downstairs. But again, in order to get to it, you're gonna have to either double park or you're gonna have to block parking. Which if you block parking on that side for offloading, then they're gonna come back to my side of the street where I can't park. Or they're gonna start parking on Hastings. We have enough problems with the crossbar. We had problems when Brick and Brew was there. We have problems with Town Tap, and they're down the block. We have problems with Crossbar, and they're a couple of rows down. It's a constant issue. I mean, my husband has pictures on his camera of people being parked illegally tonight, yesterday. I mean, this is an ongoing issue, and I really think we need to take into consideration the parking and the impact to the residents.
Anybody have any questions? Phyllis? Jess? Ed?
No questions.
No, I don't have a question, but just a point of clarification. The zoning ordinance that we're trying to enforce and comply with, the hair salon actually has a higher parking requirement than the restaurant, which
I go to that hair salon, there are, I'm just.
reality doesn't matter.
No. I go to that hair salon, there are 4 people that work there. They're not all there on the same given day. They alternate. Vula and her sister Alexandra are there sometimes at the same time, sometimes they're not. And since they've moved into their new location, they actually have a smaller clientele in their building because they are following COVID restrictions, and they are keeping people socially distanced while they're in there, and they don't do a waiting anymore. Now, maybe that's going to change in the future, but they have less people in there than they did when they were in the other building, and they have parking in the back, is my understanding. And when they do park out front, obviously they're not there for long periods of time. So it's not like they're there having a dinner and they're not waiting for a table or they're not doing takeout. And by the way, and I didn't even touch on this, but having lived through Peabody's, when it was Peabody's, closing was horrible. Our bedroom is front of the house, right on Darby Road, windows open. I got to hear everybody leave Peabody's every night. Got to know everybody and what cars they were getting into, the car door slamming, them yelling back and forth to their friends, the people over there talking to each other. It's really a difficult situation for a resident to have to deal with this. I mean, I love Brick and Brew, first one to admit it, but boy, I was glad when they moved down the block.
Ms. Gillian, can I ask you a question as someone who lives so close? Sunday mornings, we heard testimony about Sunday mornings, and, you know, I know that the church does have a parking lot.
Yep.
But I would presume they have multiple services that go on and some transition between the services, some people leaving, some people coming for the next one. You know, what's your experience with the parking situation on Sunday mornings?
I would tell you that Darby Road is pretty much always full. Again, as a resident, I have problems finding parking spots sometimes. Darby Road is a very busy thoroughfare. Parking spots are pretty much taken up on a regular basis. I've gotten parking tickets being legally parked because I'm handicapped with a handicap sticker on because there were just no place else to park. I couldn't park on the side road, so I had to park in front of my house. I paid the 25 cents. I put up a handicap sticker, and as soon as that thing turned, I got a ticket, and I had to come down here to the court, well, the police department to get it resolved because I had my handicap sticker up. But parking is horrible. It really is. It really needs to be something that we're looking at, especially as we're continuing to open up and have more businesses on Darby Road, and especially, again, restaurants. And that's the other thing. I mean, realistically, when you look at Darby Road, you have Haverford Pizza, which is not more than a 2-minute walk from the building the place that they're looking at. You have the new, it's not Hoopties anymore. I can't remember what Detroit Pizza or Crisp or something like that is a 5-minute walk from that. You have Chenzo's, which is a 5-minute drive from their location. You have Tony Roni's, again, another 5-minute drive from their location, and I'm being generous with 5. Not to mention every place that'll deliver into Havertown and deliver to that location.
Can I ask you another question? In the COVID era,
Yep.
where many of the restaurants, you know, obviously we're doing more outdoor seating, and there was a more pronounced volume, I think, of takeout.
Yes.
Was the parking and the traffic problems exacerbated
Yes.
during COVID and worse than before?
Yes. So, again, not picking on Brick and Brew, but they had takeout, which was great, and I was glad that they were able to manage takeout, but literally lined up back by the security company. The cars were all lined up down Darby Road, waiting for their orders to come through so that they could run in and get that. Plus, they had their seating out on the sidewalks, so the parking out front had been shut down and had petitions up, preventing us from being able to park there. So that didn't help the situation, but yeah, with all the takeout that happens around there, yeah, the lines were extremely long.
And Lee, do you have any questions for Mrs. Killian?
I do not, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Phyllis. Anyone else that received regular or certified mail? Regular mail? Any other residents of Haverford Township? With that, we'll close the record on this case, and a decision will be rendered either this evening. If we're not able to reach a decision this evening, then a decision will be rendered at our next regularly scheduled meeting, which is on, Cal, help me with the date, it's next Thursday.
It is, it's August 5th.
August 5th. But we have a special meeting.
We do have a special meeting on the 22nd. If you'd like to render a decision before.
Yeah, we could schedule it for the 22nd. If we don't do it tonight, we'll probably do it tonight, but now that we're back live, we're constricted by the hours of building, which close at 11. But we'll likely be able to do it tonight. If not tonight, then July 22nd. Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're gonna do Kappa next. Adama, Kappa? Is that you? All right. Our next case is Z21-22, Adama Kappa, owner of 2901 Haverford Road, Ardmore, PA, DC folio number 2206-0103-800, who seeks a variance from provisions of section 182-727C1 to erect 85 feet of 4-foot aluminum fence that will encroach into the required 20-foot front yard setback by 20 feet. Property is on R6 and located in the 6th Ward. Hello,
Hi.
and are you Adama? Is
Yes.
that the correct way to pronounce your name?
Adama.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your full name and address for the record, please?
Adama Kaffa, 2901 Haverford Road, Ardmore, 19003.
Okay, please tell us a little bit about what you would like to, well, before we get there, we have pre-marked exhibits.
No, I did not. I didn't pre-mark the exhibits.
Hold on one second, Adama.
Sure.
So, Bill, are we okay on standing? Bill Malone?
Yes, I reviewed the deed and standing is appropriate.
And as I look at this zoning application packet, Bill, it appears there's only one document that the applicant may want to mark as an exhibit. Do you see anything I'm missing?
I would think it's just the plot plan with the highlighted areas.
So Adama, any document that we're going to refer to during the hearing, so you have the packet that you submitted to the township. That's like administrative. Items that are going to be considered during the hearing that we refer to need to be marked as exhibits, they're called. So
My apologies.
no, it's fine. It's my job. So typically they're marked with an A, which stands for applicant, that's you, and then sequentially numbered. But as I look through your packet, I wanted to help you, walk you through marking exhibits. It appears that there's only this document, a plot plan with highlights on it. It, to me, looks like an exhibit, but it's your case, so if there's anything else, that drawings, picture of the fence that you're proposing to put up or anything that you have that you want the board to look at, we could talk about. You can give us copies of it now. We'll mark them as exhibits. We could just roll through the case. So is there anything other?
I did include pictures on when I dropped the packet, over the document.
Do you have any extras with you?
Just a picture of my daughter, but not the fence itself. I do have it on my phone. I'm sorry, I did print it and included it in the packet that
I'm sorry, there was only one copy of those pictures. We needed 7 to provide to the board in their packets, so that's why they weren't included with their packets. I do have them available on the presentation screen, so if you want those included as an exhibit, we can have them marked as well.
I appreciate it. Yeah, that'd be great.
So
Thank you.
you have them, you're able to put them up on the screen, Kel? Okay, so while you pull those up, would you like to have this marked as an exhibit?
Sure.
Okay. A1, and it looks like a plot plan with highlighted areas that designate where proposed fencing might go. Is that a fair description?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
So, hey, Bill Malone,
Yes,
do you want to take a look at these pictures with Kelly? We can go off the record for a couple minutes, and you guys can work out what gets marked, how, et cetera. Would you do that?
sure.
All right, so Jeff, we're going to go off the record. We'll call
I'm crying.
I
because he
see.
cries.
I'm cool.
Okay, we'll resume the meeting of the Haverford Township Zoning Hearing Board, case Z21-22. Adama, did you have an opportunity to mark certain photographs while we were in recess?
Yes.
Okay. And Cal, you want to pull them up so sequentially, they start with A2, right? And there's 4 of them? So A2 through A5 will be photos. Let's take a look. Is this A1?
That's A1.
Oh, yeah, that, the plot plan is A1. Is that your house, Adama? or-
That is my neighbor's house. That is the fence that I am seeking to put on my property.
So this is Exhibit A2, and it's a photograph of your next-door neighbor's fence?
Yes,
Let's see, A3.
just another angle of the fence,
Oh,
going to my alley backyard.
so also your neighbor,
Yes,
just an angle. And is that your house to the left?
yes.
Let's see, A4. What does A4 depict?
A4 is the back of my neighbor's house with the same fence.
A5, please. And what does that depict?
And that is another angle of the fence between my neighbor and my house.
And how high is that fence, Adama?
That one is 5 foot, right? Oh, she's the neighbor.
Is that your fence? Is it your fence?
Yes, exactly.
If you're going to testify, I have to swear you in and everything, so we may do that.
The back of the fence is
I
5
need to swear you in before you talk. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your full name and address for the record, please?
Susan Drexler, 2905 Haverford Road, Ardmore, PA 19. Do I need to speak in here? Oh, sorry. Susan Drexler, 2905 Haverford Road, Drexler.
Okay. So how high is your fence, Susan?
In the back, it's 5 feet, and in the front, it's 4. And the transition occurs right at the beginning where the front of the house. And I was in front of the board probably 4.5 years ago when we got our fence.
And you needed a variance for what reason?
Because it was in the front, down to the street.
Oh, we don't have any photographs of that, then, do we?
Yeah, so you can't see completely, but it does go out to
Yes,
just,
to the front.
it's set back a little bit from the sidewalk.
And at what point does it transition 4 feet? Parallel
Right
to
at
the front of your
So
house?
that was I think the requirement when I met with you, it was right at the house, then it wraps up to 5 feet in the back.
All right, so Adama, please tell us a little bit about what you would like to do and why.
So I would like to have a 4-foot fence in front of Haverford Road. And then my property sits on the corner between Haverford Road and Malvern Road. So I would like to have a fence around my property because I do have a kid who runs around. Actually, right now we're using Susan's yard. And unfortunately, where the house physically sits, my backyard is just like an alleyway. So all of the usable land on that property faces Haverford Road. I feel like having a fence in front of that, it's gonna allow us to have play dates, entertain, and of course, my kid not running out into Haverford Road.
So you have frontage on Malvern? And you
Yes.
have frontage on Haverford. Which is considered your front yard?
My front yard is considered so the front door is on Malvern Road, but my address is it's Haverford Road. It's very interesting.
So,
I use Malvern Road to get into my house. However, the address is on Haverford Road. So it's
So we'll access our houses by an easement
behind our
It's
houses,
shared.
right.
The primary front yard for this property is on Haverford Road, so that is where they need to maintain their front yard setback and where a fence would not be permitted to be placed. They can place a fence on the Malvern Road side, which is the section in pink that's marked on Exhibit A1, which is their secondary front yard and is permitted to be fenced.
okay. Do other houses on Malvern have estate fences like this?
The neighbor on the other side of Malvern do have a fence on his house too.
Okay.
And I don't know their address, though.
How old is your child?
That's her. She's 3. This is the reason why I need that fence, because I do not want
Keep the
her
boys
running.
out?
No, I do not want her running into Haverford Road. Like, I mean, we use Susan's fence, and they're gracious, of course, to let us in their yard and have her play with Susan's son. So, that's really the reason why I need this fence.
Questions? Bill?
Yeah, so Ms. Drexler's fence, would you connect right into her fence?
She's graciously agreed to do that too,
Okay, and
yes.
so I presume then the plan is to have the same kind of fence or same color, same style, same everything? We don't have any depictions entered into the record of, at least I'm aware of what this fence would actually look like, but we've given a variance to Ms. Drexler in the past for a fence. It would be a same
It would be the
fence?
same fence. Actually, I'm using the company that she actually used, the same color, the same fence, everything is the same. Because all of our neighbors have the same fence, the whole row. I'm the only one on that block that do not actually have a fence. They all have the same fence.
Right, right. And in Exhibit A1, the plot plan that you see there, there's 2 colors. There's yellow and pink. Is the pink denoting a 5-foot height portion?
Yes.
And the yellow is denoting a 4-foot high portion?
Correct.
And so the transition space is essentially equivalent with the front leading edge of your house facing Haverford Road?
Yes.
And in some of the other pictures that you submitted as exhibits tonight, which look to the back of your property, would that continue around to your driveway and then drop in around your driveway as Ms. Drexler's appears to do in some of these photos?
It would come around into my garage. Unfortunately, I do have a 2-car garage. I won't be able to do it the way Susan and Nate's yard is, but it would just come and connect to my garage.
Right, and do you have off-street parking in front of your garage?
Yes, I have 2, car garage right there.
Okay, and so.
And then a driveway where my car is currently parked on that. And that's the alleyway of a backyard that I have currently.
Okay, and is that Ms. Drexler's house on the right there that we see? Okay.
Yes.
And so in the back of your property, would you connect to that fence also?
Yes, on this right here.
Right, so
Yeah.
what you're going to do, or it seems, is that you'll trace just inside the sidewalks,
Yes.
right? You won't go right up to the sidewalks. Will you have the similar setback from the front yard sidewalk that Ms. Drexler has?
Yes.
And would that be a similar setback from the sidewalks on Malvern?
No.
Where would the fence fall
Malvern-
relative to the sidewalk?
Malvern is 5 foot from the sidewalk that we measure, but then on Haverford, it's like 6.5, I believe, off of the sidewalk. It's like really in.
So what would be the distance from the inner edge of the sidewalk to your fence along Malvern? And what would be that distance between the inner edge of your sidewalk and the fence on Haverford? Just so it's clear on the record.
So for Haverford, from the sidewalk to the fence is 6.5 foot. On Malvern, from the sidewalk to the fence will be 5 foot. Yes.
And then where your property turns at the alley, right?
Yeah.
The fence would then follow the alley and then connect to and then come down your driveway and connect to the garage?
Yeah, it's just gonna connect from Susan's fence right here and then to my garage. There'll be a door where my car is parked to get into the alleyway back here, into my house.
But you're not going to fence in your driveway?
No, I'm not going to fence in my driveway, correct?
Just, I'm sorry, quickly for clarification. The setbacks from the sidewalk are to the right-of-way. So to go any closer to the sidewalk than what they're proposing would actually not be within the boundaries of their property, would be within the right-of-way.
Right. So if we were to grant this with a condition, the condition would have to be that you're not in the right of way wherever you are, and in theory, no closer than 5 feet to the Malvern sidewalk or 6.5 feet from the Haverford Road sidewalk. But in no case, by the way, can we give you a variance that allows you to put in the right of way.
Of course.
Yeah. And the 5-foot height would apply on your depiction. It doesn't show fencing along the back edge of your property. It goes just up Malvern, but doesn't turn onto the alley.
Oh, it does turn on the alley to my garage.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay, and that would be 5 feet height?
yes,
That's what you're proposing?
yes,
I don't think I have any other questions, thank you.
Adama,
yes.
why would you, so you said that the yellow highlight area on A1 will be, what will the fence be there?
4 inches.
4 feet?
4 feet, I'm sorry. Yes.
And the pink area you're proposing,
5.
so why do you want to hire a fence along Malvern?
I think that as my child grows, she's 3 and she's 4 foot 2 inches tall. She's gonna be probably 6 foot. So I don't know how fast she's gonna grow. I just felt like as she grows, maybe we'll use that space more than we would right now in front of Haverford Road, because as I said, that is the only usable land, unfortunately, in that at the moment. And keep all the balls and the the kickball, the bounce ball, the slide, yeah, all of this.
Say my last. Ed,
Yeah, I'm perplexed because the plot plan, it really isn't adequate to make a decision here. We don't have the alleyway and the easement shown, so where that fence is actually going to be, it won't be to the property line, it'll be to the, you can't put the fence across the alley, so I don't know where the alley is. Does it straddle that line on both sides of behind your house?
So where the pink ends on Malvern Road, and then where that 72.9 is, that would be the alleyway. However, the fence that I want to propose or I would like to put is actually going to come in about, I want to say 20 feet off of that, and then that would go connect to my garage, but I'm not going to close in my driveway.
The problem I have is safety issues, and I thought I heard Kelly say that the pink was area along Melbourne was allowed to be there? Right.
Correct. The variance is for the yellow section,
Right.
going 20 feet from the right-of-way of Haverford Road back. That is the primary frontage and where a fence is not permitted. The section in pink, regardless of exactly where it lies and the alleyway, if that were not there and it were depicted on here as it's proposed, would be permitted because it is permitted to be fencing in of, let me try that again. Because you are allowed to fence in the secondary front yard on a corner property.
Except, I don't know, so maybe you could help me, but that pink line goes all the way to your property line. And I'm assuming, my assumption is that the alleyway is split between your property and the property behind you. So in other words, half the alleyway is on your property and half is on their property. All the alley is on your neighbor's property. And you
No,
have it.
it's all on ours. So the easement, we own that whole drive.
Drive,
Each
yeah.
house owns
Has
that
their
full
own drive,
yeah.
and- yeah, behind
Okay,
it.
so none of the fence cannot go to your property.
No, the fence is gonna go like on my
I
lawn.
hear what you're saying,
Not on
but
the
that's not
property
what's shown
line.
on your plot plan.
can you put the three back up, Kel, please? So, are you going to, I'm just trying to clear this up a little bit. So when you come down Malvern and you turn into your driveway,
Right.
are you gonna have like a U similar to what I think I saw in Susan's where it comes down and
And then it
goes
goes,
up and hooks in with your garage?
yeah.
And then,
And then there's a door from that garage where that building is, and then to go into this alleyway. Yes, it would just connect directly to Susan. So it's like more like a L, like go this way and then down.
It's going to go down to the drive. It's going to follow the easement down, and then it's going to kind of loop around.
but nowhere will you approach the setbacks, right?
No.
So,
Well, we don't know that because we don't know what the easement is. I don't know if the alleyway is paved, the entire alleyway is paved, or the easement is like 10 foot wide, 15 foot wide for the alleyway easement. So I don't know what the right of way is for the alley on this plan.
The deed does provide that the alleyway is 15 feet wide.
Shouldn't that be on the plot plan? But we,
It absolutely should be on the plot plan.
okay, so it's not on that's sort of my thing. Then I also have the concern of safety, because I don't know how this fence ties into Haverford Road, which was really the thing you're requiring variance, whether it be a traffic hazard or not. It's different than your neighbor's fence, because she's not right on the corner. You're on the corner, and we've often had to have fences set back even further so that we don't reduce the visibility of people trying to get out on that high-speed highway there too.
I think that's why they actually did it all the way back, because all of the other neighbors on that block, their fence actually goes all the way out, but Susan's fence is actually further into their yard to help with that actual issue. That's your rationale when you put it on?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was
Yeah.
I had to measure from the center of the street back, and I came back, so I couldn't go to the sidewalk. I had to actually set it back from. where
Because of the
sidewalk
right-of-way
was.
issue?
Yeah, I believe that was what.
Yeah, so it's not setting it back any further, it's
Yeah.
just that
Yeah.
you're setting it right to your property line, which has a right-of-way for Haverford Road, which is listed as 80 foot wide. So, yeah, you couldn't put it any closer, that's why they had to set it back. But that still doesn't change the fact on Malvern Road, where the corner visibility, even on, you need a site triangle, and we're not having any photographic evidence of what that looks like, and I'm reluctant to approve a fence that could cause problems.
but when you come out of the driveway, and if you were going to make a right onto Malvern, out of the driveway, would this fence interfere at all with the sight line on the
No.
traffic onto Malvern?
No, because I actually have a plant and a tree right there, and that still does not, you can see, currently, on that corner when you come out of the driveway to make a right to go into Haverford Road. And it's a clear view and sight, and the fence will not, prevent that.
I think we're talking about two different areas.
Well, yeah.
Here, or to make a right onto.
Yeah, but she was talking about the tree here. I'm more concerned about the intersection of Haverford and Malvern and the intersection of the alleyway and Malvern, which neither one are shown. We don't even know where the garage is in relationship. We don't even have the house on there to establish the fact on the plot plan of where exactly the yellow begins, the setback. We don't have a measurement for how far that is from the sidewalk. We don't have the sidewalk shown. But these type of things are good for the record to establish what's required to meet the requirements. And there's sort of photographs of the Haverford Road setback to find out whether there is a clean line of sight or whether a 4-foot fence would cause any traffic hazard. Should be substantiated, in my opinion. That's just my opinion.
I do have photos of it on my phone, and I could certainly either email or text it, and maybe that would be helpful.
Well, let's see what other questions, other board members may have. Do you have any other questions?
No, I have no.
Jessica?
I don't have any other questions.
Jesse?
Let's see. And I'm not sure if my question will be for you or for Kelly, if I'm allowed. Am I allowed to ask Kelly questions? I'll ask and say, so it's your understanding, just to clear up the record, that you are allowed by right to build the 5-foot fence irrespective of the figuring out the alley. You're allowed to build a 5-foot fence without a variance on Malvern. That's your understanding?
That's my understanding.
And Kelly, you agree with that?
Correct.
Okay. If you were denied a variance for the portion in yellow, would you consider taking other measures such as through planting to create a fence?
I mean, I feel like a plant, my kid can potentially go through the plant. I think that's the reason why I have not even explored that at the moment, because kids are curious. I feel like the fence, she cannot go through the fence and potentially get hit by a car on Haverford Road.
Are you aware if there's anything that would prevent you from planting a very dense bush at the corner to form a fence?
Not that I'm aware of.
Kelly, do we have any regulations against installing plantings or bushes up to the sidewalk?
Yes. Plantings cannot be placed in the right-of-way, so that area between the sidewalk and I believe she said 6 feet to where her property was surveyed to is the right-of-way, and no plantings or other obstructions should be placed there. In addition, there is, and give me a moment, I will give you the code section, but it is called visibility at intersections, which is 182.702, which does have provisions for line of sight and the height of things, how the distance that they need to be if they are within the front yard, and if they are becoming obviously problematic or overhanging onto a sidewalk or obstructing pedestrians.
Okay, thank you. So we do have that in place, so, okay.
But it would be, I mean, plantings obviously are allowed in the front yard, but just
Right.
not not if they're obstructing.
Right, so you could pursue that avenue up to up to a certain point, okay. And are you aware of, or do any of your neighbors have such plantings as I'm describing at nearby?
Yes.
And how would you say that those are for visibility at the corner compared to what you're proposing?
They're visible. I haven't had any issues driving up and down Haverford Road, even though they have the fence and the plant on those against the fences.
But also they're pretty far down.
But they're
So
also
we
in.
don't have bushes.
Right.
So it's actually an easy line of sight. But I think if we added bushes to that corner, I think it would make it more difficult. Those who have the bushes are
Further in.
4 houses is the first. So it's a far enough distance that it doesn't in any way impede the line of sight.
So do you think that what you're proposing, the estate fence that you're proposing, is it your opinion that it would be allow more visibility than say a matured bush would be?
Yes.
Without question.
Yes.
Are there any signs in front of your property that limit entrance to Malvern off of Haverford? Madonna?
Just on the walk that they're doing, yeah, they
Well,
have.
there's a time of day.
Yeah. It's 9 to 3, I believe. You can get in.
I don't know, it's during rush hour.
Yes.
Okay.
It's one of those,
Does it say something like "do not enter" for a certain time?
Yes. Yes. And yeah, I forgot
Clearly we're
what
not
time.
remembering
Yeah,
what time it
exactly. I think it's 9 to 3 or 9 to 6, but I don't. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly the times. But yes, that sign is on there.
Okay. And let's see, the switch to the 5-foot fence would happen in line with the house, as you mentioned, and that would be to keep play activity within the yard. And it would only touch your house at the garage, right? It's going to loop around the back and touch at the
Correct.
garage. It's not going to connect across. So.
Correct.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill?
Just, if at the corner that we're focused on, particularly the corner of Malvern and Haverford, if we asked for a condition of approval that you angle that corner, inset the corner a little bit, so instead of being a square, you would come up and cut the angle off and then continue, just to keep that angle open a little bit. Let's say 4 feet shy of the corner from either side, you'd run a diagonal. With the idea that we're trying to maximize your own and your neighbor's ability to turn out of Malvern Would that be okay? Would you be willing to do that?
Absolutely.
Okay. You know, I recognize this is an 80-foot right-of-way on Haverford Road, so if you were to be pulling out of Malvern and you're looking at oncoming traffic, the immediate traffic's coming from your left. And the 40 feet away, so you have a wider angle for traffic coming to the right if you were to be trying to make a left turn. But we're trying to also make sure it's safe to make a right turn, right? And so, okay, I just wanted to see if, and just so I understand, on this A1, you would go to the edge of the easement, to the rear alleyway, let's call it. If it's on your property, I don't think it's an easement, except it's an easement for your neighbors to go across your property.
Fair enough.
But on that road, you would not be blocking the road. Would you set back from that road a few feet?
Yes, I will, because I don't want my neighbors to try to, figure out how to fit their car or,
Snow.
Yeah,
Like
or
if you were to
snow, or
snow
plows,
plow,
or,
you need a place for snow to go, right? So would
Yes.
you be willing to have, a similar maybe 5-foot setback in from the alley edge? Would that work?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
and then you'll run it back parallel to the alley until you come to your garage, and
my
then you would connect 90 degrees right to your garage.
Correct.
Okay, and then the little gap from the far side of your garage to Ms. Drexler's fence, would you close that in also? So you have that little gap there we see in A3?
Yes, right,
You would connect here?
right, connect right there.
Okay, and would you connect it, down to the alley and over, or just connect it from the side of the garage?
From the
over?
side of the garage over.
Okay, thank you. I think that helps at least me visualize exactly what it's gonna look like in the rear. Thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah.
More time. Jess, anything? Ed?
Yeah, I don't know whether you could take the time to try to clarify your plot plan revise it so we could have something to go on, because the record's not very clear. It's all by testimony, and I'd love to see the plot plan illustrate the house, illustrate that possible setback. I'm looking, I think it's good. Haverford Road, I'm looking at the fence on your neighbor's yard, and it's much further set back than people with the hedges. But you haven't shown that. That's the problem I'm having. Not that it's wrong, but we don't have anything. Plot plan is usually required to have all the things that I've mentioned as part of the requirement for the zoning. So your application is incomplete at this point, and I'm thinking of how do we get to that? And I don't know if you'd be willing to modify that, your plot plan, to kind of clean up the record.
So the idea would be that we'd leave the record open just for the submission of an updated plot plan?
That would be another way to handle it, sure.
And
I suppose I should just ask the board members if everyone else, if they feel the need for a revised plot plan in order to make a decision, and if the consensus seems to be yes, then we'll ask for it. If the consensus seems to be no, then we won't. So, you know how Ed feels? Bill?
personally, I think the last testimony and the questions helped clarify for me, but as a guy, I'm probably visual and it probably does help. So if it weren't a problem and you could generally position the outline of your house and where that rear fence would go to connect from Malvern to Ms. Drexler's fence on the back, that would be great. But, we have a meeting, I guess we could keep it open and limit it to the additional submission of a new exhibit, which is showing that. But I would also ask whether you have the ability to plot that. You know what I mean? To position the house in just the footprint of the house?
She can help me.
Do it. I'll do it for her. It's not a problem. I did one when I submitted it,
I
so.
appreciate it.
You continue the pink,
I'll continue the pink and the yellow,
and
yes.
it will come somewhere here, right, and just show where it ties in to the garage.
Yeah, I think if you show the driveway as like a shaded area and then the house generally is the footprint,
Yeah.
that would be helpful.
Know the measurements, yeah.
Ed, do you think, right, is that what you were thinking?
Yeah, I meet the requirements of the application that has a deed, a plot plan that shows the dimensions that are required by us, but that's all I'm asking for. And that's stated on the application form itself. We do not have that here.
Jesse?
I mean, speaking for myself, as an architect, I can visualize, and I don't feel the need for it, but if others do, then certainly happy to go along with that.
And Jess?
I'm with Jesse on this one.
And it will be, is it a huge task for you to do something like that? And when's our next meeting, Kel? 1 week from today?
Yeah, we have, I mean, the special meeting's on the 22nd. I don't know if you want to
If all we're gonna do is accept a revised plot plan into the record, then close the case, then I'm okay with it.
And I think we should start that meeting with that, because the rest of it's going to be long and tedious and.
Oh,
we
yeah,
should
yeah,
have
well,
to-
no, we'll get you in and out of here in
Appreciate it.
2 minutes. You just have to come authenticate it and say, this is my revised plot plan. I wanna have it marked Exhibit A6.
Okay.
And then we'll close the record. I'll announce when a decision will be made. It'll probably be at our August hearing. Try to do it that night, but that night's gonna be a mess. You're gonna wanna leave right away. So, yeah, since it's not too great an imposition, if it's only a 1 week delay, then I would ask for you to bring back a revised plot plan that shows it clearly. You might show where the sidewalk ends and where the setback would be, so Ed can visualize what the sight line might be. And maybe on the corner, it's not diagonal. It's the correct description there, Jesse.
It's a diag.
A chamfer. I don't know what that means. I'm gonna trust him. It might be embarrassing. With a chamfer on the corner. Like a blow up, like Christmas decoration for all I know. Don't mess with me.
Google it.
Okay, so with that, then, is there anything else you'd like to add tonight? Because we're not gonna even talk at the next hearing, except for you to say, this is my revised plot plan, and you're gonna ask that we mark it as Exhibit A5. Yes? Case closed. Actually, and I'm gonna call tonight for any residents that wanted to testify, so the sole purpose that evening will be for the submission of that exhibit. And anyone who wanted to testify should have come tonight, so we're not even gonna take any testimony whatsoever. So, is that the correct?
There's chamfer.
Chamfer?
He's right. Yeah.
And that's on the 22nd?
Yes, next Thursday.
Okay. All right.
So, terrific. Is there anything else you'd like to add tonight?
No, I appreciate you all taking your time.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
you.
Have a
With
good
that,
one.
I'll ask if there's anyone present that received certified mail that wishes to testify. I know, don't think I'm crazy.
Okay.
I have to go through. Anyone present that received regular mail, any other resident of Haverford Township? Seeing no one present in the audience, let alone no show of hands, we will continue this case to our next hearing, July 22nd, for the sole purpose of accepting a revised plot plan with the specifications that we already discussed ad nauseum, and the chamfer. And with that, we'll continue this case to July 22nd. That's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Really, I'm glad I got it right.
Yeah,
So am I.
it would have been horrible if you had.
It would have been really embarrassing.
AM.
All right, should we go should we
Yeah.
go meet with,
We're gonna go off the record.
Bob, do you want to continue that other matter and set a date for it?
Oh, yeah. Well, if Jeff, we'll resume the meeting of the Haverford Township Zoning Hearing Board of Thursday, July 15, 2021. With respect to case Z21-20A, Jesse, are you prepared to vote?
I am.
Bill, are you prepared?
I am,
Ed?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
And so am I. Jesse, would you, it's Z21-20A, Luis Gennaro, Curzambai, and Pedro Perez, lessees of 2126 Darby Road. I won't read the rest of the description into the record unless specifically requested to do so. But I would ask Jesse, would you please take this decision?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, with respect to case Z21-20A, I would first vote to modify the conditions set forth in previous case Z99-30 as follows. The previous condition, number 1, was the proposal shall be a one-story addition only. That is moot for this condition, for this new case. Number 2 was previously there shall be no Sunday hours of operation. We will modify that to Sunday hours shall be permitted as no later than 8 p.m. Condition 3 previously stated there shall be no more than 4 employees plus 2 owners. That condition shall be modified to be there shall be no more than 8 employees. Previous condition number 4 was there shall be 2 full-sized marked parking spaces in the rear of the building. That condition will remain intact as previously stated. Previous condition number 5 stated the proposed addition shall be completed within 1 year from the date of this order. That is moot in this new case. Previous condition number 6 stated the construction shall be in accordance with the terms and descriptions provided to the board during September 2nd, 1999 hearing as reflected in the notes of testimony for that hearing. That is also moot for this case. Further, I would vote to deny the parking variance as moot, as the new use will have a lesser parking burden than the previous use. In addition to that, I would stipulate the following new conditions. 1, that dumpsters shall not block the 2 marked parking spaces. 2, deliveries shall not block a travel lane on Darby Road and shall be done at off-hours times. 3, there shall be no more than 50 seats or less as may be required by applicable building and fire codes. And number 4, the project shall be completed, it should be, operated, through the note. The project shall be operated in accordance with the notes of testimony.
Okay. Bill?
I agree.
Jessica?
I agree.
Ed?
I agree.
And I vote no. I believe that a parking variance is required, and I would have approved that, but the result is the same. They're permitted to operate the restaurant. And I say that with all due respect to my fellow board members. So that application is approved 4-1. And unless there's any other administrative business anybody wants to discuss? Continue that. We have one other matter, case Z21-23, Jared Rayner and Kimberly McKay, owner of 317 Buck Lane, Haverford, PA, DC folio number 2205-0011-600, who seek a variance from the provisions of section 182-711B1 to place a 10-foot by 12-foot shed 14 foot forward of the front wall of the house where accessory structures are required to be at least 10 foot further back from the rearmost portion of the building. Property is owned R1 and located in the 5th ward. We received a request for a continuance well in advance of our requirement for requesting such continuances, and a continuance for this case is granted, and we will relist this for August 19, 2021. So any other administrative matters or any discussion? Oh, wait.
I'm sorry, I forgot that in August we only have one meeting when I told you that date. Let's say September 2nd for the continuance.
Okay. So that case Z21-23 is continued to our September 2nd, 2021 hearing. Any other matters? With that, we are adjourned.
So the first meeting in August is not.